the stupidity I'm getting, it's overwhelming, right? And I keep telling myself I'm not going to get drug into it. But there is that mean side of me, which I don't like it, right? I don't like it. I don't think it's a good aspect of my personality. But there is something about, you know, tearing arrogant douchebags down that I enjoy. And it's fun until it starts feeling like I'm picking on the special kid, and then I always feel bad and whatnot. But the stupidity that comes your way, like when you engage with stupidity, is shocking. You know? They love to say a bunch of shit, but as soon as I start asking simple questions, you know, it shuts the conversation down. There it is again. I mean, I assume that's a woodpecker, but I can't see it. And the woodpecker I did see flew off, so what the fuck? I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's definitely strange. Look at that. I don't know what the fuck that is. It's fucking strange. Stop gaslighting me. Stop gaslighting me. The same people right now, talking their nonsense, were the same ones in the previous video crying about stop gaslighting me. It's just interesting how this works. And we did talk about this a lot yesterday, but we talked about gaslighting, not just gaslighting, the weird phrase that's used. But let's keep going with that gaslighting idea. The manipulation of someone into questioning their perception of reality. This term derives from the 1944 film Gaslight and became popular in the mid and 2010s. So that's not what I was looking for, but that's really weird how it only wants to bring up like wow, this is so weird. I don't want to find that. I want to find about gas lighting. So yesterday or the day before, we had gotten reasonably far into this. I'm bipolar. Stop gaslighting me. Stop it. So where did we get to? Okay, so we got to the Stowe Steam Engine Works in Birmingham, England. That was where we left off. And if you want to know more about this, this topic, either look for yourself or go back and watch the previous gaslighting videos. But how many people understand that the idea of using gas lines to not just light but heat the home, or not just heat but light the home, apparently dates back to 500 BC in China, where they were running gas lines and brine lines through bamboo pipes. But didn't quite reach Europe until like the 1790s, 1800s is when they first really sort of figured it out. And it's kind of like embarrassingly stupid that this is the way that they do it. This is how they present it to us. So I was interested in what they were saying about. They say Murdoch was the first to exploit the flammability of gas for practical application of lighting. He worked for Matthew Bolton and James Watt at their Soho Foundry steam engine works in Birmingham, England. So you look up the Soho steam engine works, and these guys are making bridges and railway lines and locomotives, and like it's just another one of these historical narratives where they're just sort of, it sounds like fiction. It sounds like romance novel kind of fiction bullshit. And they love to provide you nonsense details, but no details on the meat and potatoes, how they figured the shit out. In early 1790, while overseeing the use of his company's steam engines in tin mining in Cornwall, Murdoch began experimenting with various types of gas, finally settling on coal gas as the most effective. And to me, it's so fascinating to think about like what I believe, or at least used to believe, 1790 looked like. Right? And the more I look into these kinds of bullshit narratives, the more it just doesn't make sense. It's like, were we much more technically advanced? Or, what's the ruse here? What's going on? I'm either supposed to believe that we were these, he was walking home with his lantern after a hard day's work to his little thatch roof house, and his bed made of straw with, no electricity, This is the guy that figures out how to run gas lines eventually or something. Like, it's so crazy. And the more you start to, ask questions, like you would think questions would be easily answered. But like, even as something as simple as bricks, where did the bricks all come from? How did this whole process, work? Well, you'll find that the narrative that you're given just doesn't make much sense. And it leads to way too many questions that just don't get answered. Let's see. He first lit his own house in Redruth, Cornwall in 1792. So in 1792, this guy had figured out a way to harness gases, coal gas, I guess is what he settled on, coal gas, in a way that he could use it to light and heat his house continuously. And of course, eventually these are lines that are run underneath the streets and all this shit. Like, it's strange. In 1798, he used gas to light the main building of the Soho factory, and in 1802, lit the outside in a public display of gas lighting the lights astonishing the local population. I mean, just think about this. Where is the supply of gas coming from? What storage containment units did they have back then that they could harness natural gas from places, store it, and then slowly feed it through lines to individual fire sources that didn't end up blowing up? I mean, it's given to you, sure, but does it make sense? Do they explain any of it, or are they just telling you that in 1798 he used gas to light the main building of the Soho factory, and in 1802 lit the outside in a public display that astonished the local population? Okay, that sounds like a really cool thing. Any sort of details on it that you can give? No. One of the employees at the Soho factory, Samuel Clegg, saw the potential of this new form of lighting. Clegg left his job to set up his own gas lighting business, the Gaslight and Coke Company. Oh. He just, Coke was this thing that again, something that requires a pretty extensive process to create. Requires a lot of materials to create it. It's strange to think like even charcoal, right? Charcoal comes from burning trees. It's charred remains of trees and shit. So to get the Coke is an even more intense process. And how did they come up with this let's make Coke process? Nobody knows. That Soho foundry that was, responsible for so many of the bridges, canals. Like yesterday we were reading about them just making canal systems. 22 miles of canal system with 60 locks in it and shit. And I ask you, like, how many of those projects are going down today? How many of those things are happening right now that you can be like, oh yeah. Digging a huge canal through an area that doesn't have a canal in it or doesn't have any water sources, and then bringing a bunch of water to it and all this. Like, this is easy 1700s technology. And yet we don't do it. A thermo lamp using gas distilled from wood was patented in 1799, while German inventor Frederick Albert Windsor, was the first person to patent coal gas lighting in 1804. And they were just doing all kinds of shit back then. And I bet if you were to look up this person, he also happened to invent this and that and this and that and this. Like, it's just, anytime they present us with a character, it's not like they're this somebody that just did this one thing and that was that. These guys are always polymaths. Capable of so much more than anyone of our time. In 1801, Philippe Le Bon of Paris had also used gas lights to illuminate his house and gardens and was considering how to light all of Paris. In 1820, Paris adopted gas street lighting, just like that. Right? It's just, they just adopted it. And so having huge gas lines running underneath your city roads, your paved city roads and your huge fucking monumental buildings that we can't build today, they just did that shit, no problem. In 1804, Dr. Henry, who the fuck is Dr. Henry? Dr. Henry delivered a course of lectures on chemistry at Manchester, right? 1804, a course of lectures. More than likely in one of these buildings that's still around today, while, living in a little thatch roof house, but the buildings existed. And so he's having a huge series of lectures in this giant classroom that's lit by fucking lanterns and shit. It just seems such a strange thing. His experiments were numerous and accurate and made upon a variety of substances, having obtained the gas from wood, peat, different kinds of coal, oil, wax, etc. He quantified the intensity of the light from each source. Of course he did. How? That doesn't matter. And try to find how. You won't. In 1806, the Phillips and Lee factory and a portion of Chapel Street in Salford, Lancashire, were lit by gas. Thought to be the first use of gas street lighting in the world. Josiah Pemberton, whose name is in red, so nobody's bothered to make a page for him yet, although there are lots of names here that aren't in red, they're just normal type. For some reason, this guy's name is in red. Never understand that part of why this is like this, but okay. An inventor had for some time been experimenting on the nature of gas. A resident of Birmingham, his attention may have been aroused by the exhibition at Soho. About 1806, about 1806. Not really 1807 or 1805. About 1806. He exhibited gas lights in a variety of forms and with great brilliance in front of his factory in Birmingham. And yet we don't know exactly when. You would think that would have been a thing that random people took notes on that we still have today for some reason. Like so many other elements of the past. Random pieces of history. I love the idea that I need to quit reading. I need to quit looking into stuff. Not you should quit watching and maybe go live your life. I need to quit doing what I'm doing. I want you to talk about other stuff. I want you to talk about me. Please talk about me. Belch. In 1808, he constructed an apparatus applicable for several uses for Benjamin Cook, a manufacturer of brass tubes, gilt toys, and other articles. Yeah, he was a brass tube manufacturer in 1808. Prior to this illumination technique, he'd just been creating brass in the dark. These big Soho factories and foundries and shit, they were all just in the dark. Well, what do you mean? Why would they ever need a light source to be able to do their work? You're crazy. You need to stop asking these questions. Stop gaslighting me. I got accused of gaslighting for asking somebody simple questions. In 1808, back to Murdoch, Murdoch presented the Royal Society a paper entitled Account of the Application of Gas from Coal and of gas from coal to economical purposes. Oh, come on, don't die. It just went inside. He presented this paper, and it was like it was like, hey, that's a good paper. Let's keep it in the archives. So that in 2025, some guy that happens to be reading Wikipedia will be able to read this. Just a random paper. I mean, I have to wonder how many other papers were being presented to these people that, well, we don't know about those papers, but this paper we do, in which he described his successful application of coal gas to light the extensive establishment of Messrs. MESSRS. Dead. Phillips and Lee. Now it's spelled L-E-A. Before it was L-E-E. It just says, okay, it says the extensive establishment of Messrs, period, Phillips and Lee, period. For this paper, like, what the fuck? What is Phillips and Lee thrown in here for? For this paper, he was awarded Count Rumford's gold medal. Of course he was. You get a gold medal for your paper presented to us. Murdoch's statements threw, quote, great light, pun intended, on the comparative advantage of gas and candles, and contained much useful information on the expenses of production and management. Yeah, well, like, you're not expecting any of those advantages to be presented here, are you? Come on now. Don't be stupid. Although the history is uncertain. Oh, well, that's a weird little wrench to throw in there. Although the history is uncertain, David Melville has been credited with the first house and street lighting in the United States in either 1805 or 1806 in Newport, Rhode Island. We're not sure if it's this guy, and we're not sure if it's this year. No. That's 700 fucking days. There's a 700-day potential difference between when that happened. And are we used to say that the first house lit by gas wasn't a big deal in the United States? That just seems strange. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Everything else is such a big deal. We have detailed fucking records of it from 1500 and shit. But the first house in the United States to be illuminated? We're not sure. It could be this year or that year. Who knows? In 1809, accordingly, the first application was made to Parliament to incorporate a company in order to accelerate the process. But the bill failed to pass. Right. Because illuminating things for the first time wouldn't be something that the government would be interested in. They liked being in their big giant buildings carrying around lanterns that they could barely see anything with. Yep. Totally makes sense. In 1810, however, the application was renewed by the same parties, and though some opposition was encountered and considerable expense incurred, the bill passed, but not without great alterations. And the London Westminster Gas, Light and Coke Company was established. Weird how they all did the same thing, gaslighting and Coke. They were big gaslighting and Coke people. And that's a different one than the... I mean, is this the same Gaslight and Coke Company? Gaslight and Coke Company, all right. That's this one. So let's see if the Westminster one is the same. It's the same. Okay. Wait. That was in 1810. So what does this say up here? That was Samuel Clegg. 1802 lit the outside of the public display of the gas, which astonished the local population. One of the employees of the Soho factory, Samuel Clegg, saw the potential of this new form of lighting. Clegg left his job to set up his own gaslighting business, the Gaslight and Coke Company. So, 8 years after this guy saw this thing happen and was so astonished by it that he left his job, because again, what were the jobs like back then? Did he come in and punch a time clock and, pterodactyls were there and shit? Dun, 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 dun. Like, I love these thoughts, these things that are given to us, and our modern day brains are supposed to fill in the holes and just, accept that it worked the way that our shit worked. Hey, got up every day, you know, rode his horse into town, walked into town, or whatever, parked his horse at the horse car park, put in his 8, 10, 15 hours at the foundry, and came his ass home so he could sleep in his thatch roof. In his straw bed, where the women who weren't allowed to be educated somehow educated the children at home while doing everything else. Less than 2 years later, on December 31st, 1813, Westminster Bridge was lit by gas. Less than 2 years later, they just did it. They were just running gas lines like it was no big fucking deal. And the thing is, again, this technology was they were doing it in 500 BC in China, apparently. You would have thought they would have been talking to those people. I mean, they traded with them. Why would it have taken, over 2,000 years for the technology to get from China to the UK, to London and shit? Why would that make sense? If the Chinese were doing it with bamboo 2,300 years earlier, well, this industrial revolution should have been knocking this shit out, no problem. The industrial revolution shouldn't have been figuring it out. They should have been implementing this new, improving on everything. By 1816, Samuel Clegg obtained the patent for his horizontal rotative retort, his apparatus for purifying coal gas with cream of lime, red. Can't look up what cream of lime is. Cream of lime. What the fuck is cream of lime? And for his rotative gas meter and self-activating governor. 1816. Because of course he did. Why wouldn't he have? A gaslit outdoor fountain at Grand Army Plaza, Brooklyn, New York, 1873 to 1897. I mean, fuck yeah, right? These things are just everywhere. Why, this is 18 something or other. They were fucking throwing this shit up. No problem. Don't ask how, just accept that it happened. Among the economic impacts of gaslighting was much longer work hours in factories. So I guess they weren't working by candlelight. So these factories, but it's still inside the factory, as soon as you get away from any sort of window, it's going to get dark really quick. And we're talking about places like the Palace of Versailles. I mean, just anywhere you look in London, in France, and in all these places where, you know, these buildings were built either around this time or earlier. You just think, well, how were they, you know, how did all of this work? How were they capable of doing all of this? This was particularly important in Great Britain during the winter months when nights are significantly longer. Factories could even work continuously for over 24 hours, resulting in increased production. Following successful commercialization, gaslighting spread to other countries. Again, we're talking about something that just, like, it's extremely dangerous. And would require a significant amount of, you know, materials and all that. Like, you don't just have a 20. Okay, so how much gas did your average factory require to stay lit and heated 24 hours a day through the winter months? Like, how much gas does each facility require? And where does that gas come from? And then, of course, it all is squeezed out into flame. This is flame that's being used here. And yet none of these flames backfed through. Like, when was the regulators invented? Nobody's talking about the invention of the regulator that prevented the flame from going back up the fucking tube. But where the fuck did they get all this shit from? These stories are nice, you know, they're written reasonably well, and if you're not reading it skeptically, you get what you want. You know, if this is for some book report for school, and the teacher wants this information, all you have to do is reword it. Just copy it down, but reword it. In England, the first place outside London to have gaslighting was Preston, Lancashire, Lancashire, I don't know. In 1816, this was due to the Preston Gaslight Company. Oh, the Preston Gaslight Company. Because not only did this technology just sort of spring up, it was everywhere. And everybody was just popping out gaslighting companies. You know, there was no communication between China and England for 2,000 years regarding this stuff. But then as soon as it's sort of figured out in England, it's just everywhere. It's just everywhere. Everybody's building the gas lighting and Coke companies and all these other things. Like, how? Where? And you either think about that from the logistical point of view or you don't. Like these gas lines that had to be run everywhere. Who made all the gas lines? We're talking about foundries and shit. So these foundries that weren't lit up were capable of creating all of these cast iron and all this other shit that was used in bridges and rail and locomotives and all this shit. Big steamships. What do you mean? Like, how was that all working out? Especially in the time frames we're given. We're talking about years here. This happened, and a couple years later, this happened. And I really suggest you guys watch the My Lunch Break video called Population Zero. where he breaks down the population numbers were given, not some theory. This is what they tell us to think. This is how we're told to believe. We're supposed to believe that according to them, every 69 years the population decreases by 66%. That's the numbers that they give us consistently. So if you just use that math to keep going backwards, you're going to find that by 600 there was nobody. Worldwide, nobody. But long before that, when you're talking about 30,000 people worldwide and whatnot, maybe that's why so many people are known by one name at the time. Who knows? But believing any of this bullshit that we're given is just fucking stupid. This was due to the Preston Gaslight Company, run by revolutionary Joseph Dunn, who founded the most improved way of brighter gaslighting. The parish church there was the first religious building to be lit by gaslight. Let's see what it says about good old Joseph Dunn. Reverend Joseph Daddy Dunn, 1746 to 1827, was an English priest and entrepreneur who was noted for his importing and distribution of gas throughout the United Kingdom, mainly the Preston area. Dunn rapidly changed the whole of Lancashire, by transporting coal gas lighting into the area. That's it. That's him. Business career. Again, so listen to this. Through being a Jesuit priest, he had many contacts all over the country as well as some abroad. It was thought these contacts that he was in, or through these contacts, it was through these contacts that he was informed about business people who could give him the methods to import gas to the Preston area. This is a reverend. When did he learn all this stuff? When did he learn his business acumen? When did he learn his chemistry, provision, or his chemistry knowledge? Where did he learn all this shit? Through chemical experiments, he had formulated a better gas lighting technique for longer power and brightness, and in 1816, he had enough confidence in himself and his idea to start the Preston Gaslight Company. That's all it takes back then. Be a reverend, throw a few prayers up. You have your chemistry lab, your experimenting facility where you have apparently a whole bunch of different gases and other chemicals just laying around that you can mix together and figure out a better way to do it. Like, think about this. Is this satisfactory to you? Is this sufficient? You go, yeah, there's no questions here. 1816, what the fuck? What do you mean? Back in 1816, you could just go down the street to the average chemical seller and he would have big bladders, a bladder full of coal gas that you could use. And, he had some ammonia there you could buy, and he had some, some all kinds of other shit. And of course, all of these experiments were done by nothing. They didn't have lighting back then. They didn't have heat. So prior to this idea of gas, light, and heating, how did these people survive the winters? There's only so much, so many trees you can cut down. There's only so much, a wood stove can do. And where does every single person all around the area has enough wood supplies, wood storage that they can go through a whole winter without freezing to death? Business success. By the mid 1820s, due to his company, Preston became the second town in England after London to be fully lit by coal gas. His company offices were situated in Avenham. That's it. That's all we get to know about this Joseph Dunn character. Joseph Daddy Dunn. The Reverend Joseph Daddy Dunn. Who just made lights. First town outside of London. He just had enough confidence in himself through a couple of experiments that he started the fucking Preston Gas Company and became this gazillionaire at 4 years. 4 years. In Bristol, a gaslight company was founded on December 15th, 1816. See what I mean? Like, these gas companies are just being founded all over the area. Same fucking time. So whoever the company was that was building these facilities was all over the country building these same facilities all over. They had enough people that they could just build multiple facilities all over the place. All these trained individuals who were able to build gaslight companies. Which again, there's no like real like explanation as to what these were, how they worked. Under the supervision of the engineer John Brelet, extensive works were conducted in 1816 and 17 to build a gas holder, mains, and street lights. All of it just knocked out. Because if there's anything we know about the past, it's that they were much more capable than we were, much more proficient at building than we are today. It takes over a decade sometimes for us to build a 47-foot tall skyscraper box, big box. Back in 1931, they built the Empire State Building in 400 days. You guys know A12 is a fucking pedophile, right? All but admitted several times on this feed. Let's see. Many of the principal streets in the center of the city, as well as the nearby houses, had switched to gas lighting by the end of 1817. Gas lines, just everywhere. Just fucking throwing them underground, no problem. Companies founded. Along with the foundry that was there to make all of the parts necessary. They just slapped it all together. And, a lot of it is still working to this day, apparently. In America, Seth Bemis lit his factory with gas illumination from 1812 to 1813. Of course. Of course. This technology is just worldwide within 3 years, 2 years. 2 years, it's just there. It's not just there, he's doing it. He's illuminating his factory in these years. again, the ability to store all of this gas and then consistently produce it and supply the storage, transporting it from one place to the other, this highly flammable explosive gas, this is just nothing in 1810. The use of gaslights in Rembrandt Peale's museum in Baltimore in 1816 was a great success. Let's see. Baltimore was the first American city with gas streetlights. Peale's Gas Light Company of Baltimore, on February 7th, 1817, lit its first street lamp at Market and Lemon. Sorry, guys. Business. Business. Gotta handle the business. At Market at Lemon and Lemon Streets, currently Baltimore and Holiday Streets, the first private residence in the United States illuminated by gas has been variously identified as that of David Melville, circa 1806, 1805. Remember, we don't really know. As described above, or of William Henry, a coppersmith at 200 Lombard Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in 1816. So it's either the one dude's house in 1805 or 1806, or this other dude's house where we actually have the fucking address 10 years later. Are we saying that it took an entire decade for someone else to get their house lit up? I mean, what? And apparently this house that was lit up in 1805 or 1806 was the first of its kind. But we don't know. We're not sure. This incredible technology that changed the fucking world, we're not sure. There's a 10-year window where we're not really sure what happened. That just totally makes sense. In 1817, at the 3 stations of the chartered gas company in London, 25 cauldrons of coal were carbonized daily, producing 300,000 cubic feet of gas. or 8,500 cubic meters. In 1817, they were carbonizing 25 caldrons of coal every day, producing 300,000 cubic feet of gas. What? This supplied gas lamps equal to 75,000 Argand lamps. Argand lamps? Let's see. An Argand lamp is a type of oil lamp invented in 1780 by Amy Argand. Its output is 6 to 10 candelas, brighter than that of earlier lamps. Its more complete combustion of the candle wick and oil than in other lamps required much less frequent trimming of the wick. So, an Argand lamp in use in a portrait of James Peale. Are we kidding me right now? James Peale, that was the guy, one of the people that invented the whole thing. Done in 1822 by Charles Wilson Peale. Or is this just a different James Peale? Okay, so that's the lighting source. Look how dark it is everywhere else. And that's the lamps that they were using back then. 1780 this is invented. Weren't they already fucking gas and shit back then? At the City Gas Works, this is a difference. This Gas Works in Dorset Street, Blackfriars, 3 caldrons of coal were carbonized each day, providing the gas equivalent of 9,000 Argand lamps. So 28 caldrons of coal were carbonized daily, and 84,000 lights supplied to those 2 companies only. By who? Who was the coal carbonizers? At this period, the principal difficulty in gas manufacture was purification. Oh, that's it? That's the principal difficulty? They could do all the rest of it, no problem. It's just they couldn't get it pure enough. I can't believe anybody could hear this and just think, this sounds totally fucking normal. This sounds totally believable. I am on board 100%. Dr. D. Wilson, we've got another Wilson, of Dublin, patented a method for purifying gas by means of the chemical action of ammoniacal gas. Ammoniacal gas is the inorganic chemical compound of nitrogen and hydrogen, a stable binary hydride at its simplest PNICTOGEN, pnictogen hydrate. Ammonia is a colorless gas with a distinctive pungent smell. It is widely used in fertilizers, refrigerants, explosives, cleaning agents, and as a precursor for numerous chemicals. Biologically, yeah. So now we're saying this is just ammonia. So when I click on ammoniacal gas, it takes me to ammonia. Another plan was devised by Reuben Phillips. Oh, another Phillips of Exeter, who patented the purification of coal gas by use of dry lime. So we had cream of lime, now we have dry lime. We have another Wilson. We have James Peale. Funny how the ChatGPT narrative wasn't programmed with enough names, so it just keeps repeating names. And this is Mr. D. Wilson of Dublin. His name is Mr. D. Wilson of Dublin. He invented this way of purifying coal gas, but he doesn't get a page. The rest of his story doesn't matter. G. Holworthy, again, another guy who doesn't get a page, we just get a name for. His name isn't even read, so it's not like page hasn't been created yet. He's just not even worthy. G. Holworthy, of all things, in 1818, patented a method of purifying it by passing the gas in a highly condensed state through iron retorts heated to a dark red. 1818. He's purifying gas by passing it through, by passing the gas through iron retorts heated so hot they're red in a highly condensed state. So what were they using to condense the gas down into this highly condensed state that they could then pass it through the red hot heater, but it's not going to explode. It's just going to purify it. This all makes sense to you, right? I assume this makes sense to you. If this all makes sense to you, smizash the dislike, smash it, the dislike, smash it, smash it. If this doesn't make any sense, and this just leads to more questions, think about what's being said, man.
Like Friday night? Yeah, bees following you.
Yeah, they do that all day.
Huh?
They always do.
Yeah. So
Here, put 75 in the bank for me. Please.
thank you.
So in 1818, he patented a method of purification by passing the gas in a highly condensed state through iron retorts heated to a dark red. That's flammable gas that he's purifying by passing it through red hot pipes. Totally makes sense. In 1820, Swedish inventor Johann Patrik Ljungström, he gets a page, had developed a gas lighting with copper apparatuses and chandeliers of ink, brass, and crystal. Ink? Ink? Ink is a gel solar solution that contains at least one colorant. Yeah, ink. That's what I thought. I was like, is ink a different form of something else? I didn't know. Reportedly, one of the first such public installations of gas lighting in the region, enhanced as a triumphal arch for the city gate for a royal visit of Charles XIV John of Sweden. Charles XIV John of Sweden in 1820, of course. The triumphal arch. You know, here's one in France. You gotta make arches for people to go walking through. Here's the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, begun by Napoleon in 1806. Napoleon began this thing in 1806. Napoleon, what a doofus, fake fucking goofy character. By 1823, numerous towns and cities throughout Britain were lit by gas. Of course they were. Gaslight cost up to 75% less than oil lamps or candles, which helped to accelerate its development and deployment. By 1859, gas lighting was to be found all over Britain, and about 1,000 gasworks had sprung up to meet the demand for the new fuel. The brighter lighting which gas provided allowed people to read more easily for longer. This helped to stimulate literacy and learning, speeding up the second industrial revolution. Oh, now it all makes sense. In 1824, the English Association for Gaslighting on the Continent, that's a thing. A sizable business producing gas for several cities in mainland Europe, including Berlin, was established with Sir William Congreve, 2nd Baronet, as general manager. Of course! Sir William Congreve, the 2nd Baronet, he was the manager. He was the manager for the English Association for Gaslighting on the Continent. So when you click on it, now it says Imperial Continental Gas Association was a leading British gas utility operating in various cities in continental Europe. It was listed on the London Stock Exchange and was a constituent of the FTSE 100 index. Founded in 1824, defunct in 1987. Go figure. The company was formed by Sir Moses Montefiore. Man, they sure had a lot of knights back then, didn't they? And these knights were just out there fucking founding things. And some of his colleagues based in London in 1924 as the Imperial Continental Gas Association to establish gas utilities in other countries. Let's see what Sir Moses Montefiore, 1st Baronet, FRS. October 24th, 1784 to July 28th, 1885. This motherfucker was 101 years old when he died. In 1885, we had people living to be 101 years old, huh? Okay. Was a British financier and banker, activist, philanthropist, and Sheriff of London. He was also the founder of the fucking the company that gave gas lighting to everyone in the... Gotcha. Born to an Italian Sephardic Jewish family based in London. I am shocked. I am so shocked. I cannot believe... I am shocked. After he achieved success, he donated large sums of money to promote industry, business, economic development, education, and health among the Jewish community in the Levant. He founded in 1860, the first Jewish settlement outside the old city of Jerusalem. Man, this guy was fucking busy. Here's a portrait of him in 1881. We absolutely had cameras and shit back then, but here's a portrait instead. Totally makes sense. Oh, look, dumbass Jeff G is here. Another pedophile. As president of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, he corresponded with Charles Henry Churchill, the British consul in Damascus, in 1841-1842. His contributions are seen as pivotal to the development of Proto-Zionism. Holy shit. Do you understand why I do what I do now? There's no fucking way I would have been able to predict that this was going to happen. That all it takes is a few clicks and now we're right back to where we started. Wow. Queen Victoria's chaplain, Norman MacLeod, said of Montefiore, "No living man has done so much for his brethren in Palestine as Sir Moses Montefiore," but Palestine didn't exist. Wait, what? Palestine doesn't exist. He stated in an interview in the 1860s that Palestine must belong to the Jews. Dude. Do you realize again just how silly this is? It just another one of these coincidences, huh? Just another one of these coincidences where it just so happens that we have a supremacist Jew who is the head of the association, blah, 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 blah. Some mythical character. And Palestine must belong to the Jews. Proto-Zionism. Same shit, just not called Zionism yet, I guess. This is just fucking shocking, man. It's not shocking in that I'm surprised, just shocking how obvious it all is, and yet it's like it's still so hard to convince people that there's something else going on here. Early life and family. Moses Montefiore was born in Leghorn, Livorno, in Italy, Tuscany, in 1784 to Sephardic Jew family based in Great Britain. His grandfather, Moses Vital Chaim Montefiore, had immigrated from Livorno to London in the 1740s, but retained close contact with the town. Of course, because 1740s, communication between people, hundreds of miles away it's easy to do. Easy to do, just like moving is easy to do back then. You just relocate. Montefiore was born while his parents, Joseph Elias Montefiore, and his young wife, Rachel, what? Like, it must be significant if that's the case. For them to say that. His young wife, Rachel, the daughter of Abraham Mokata, a powerful bullion broker in London. Bullion broker. Oh, look. A Jewish money changer. Wow, what a surprise. We're in the town of on a business journey. Oh yeah, she's so fucking pregnant that she ends up having a kid randomly in some random, it's all good. 1700s, they gotcha. Moses was close to his aunt, Selina Hannah Lawrence, 1767 to 1836. Oh, okay. A visit to her in 1929 prompted his recollection of the death of his beloved grandmother, Esther Hannah Montefiore, 1733 to 1812. Oh, he didn't remember it? He had forgotten about it, and then when he visited this woman, his aunt, he then remembered it, and it was so significant that it was written down in the annals of fucking history? Are we kidding right now? Selina lived in Bury Court, St. Mary Axe, London, and had angelicized the surname of her husband, Zachariah Levy, 1751 to 1826, to Lawrence following his death. From Levy to Lawrence, hiding the Jewish identity. Gee, that's weird. Here's the first portrait of Montefiore in his Surrey locale militia uniform, because again, they all served in the military for some reason, and had portraits made of them. Here's a colotype of Moses Montefiore, circa 1885 to 1900, in the collection of the Jewish Museum of Switzerland. Yeah, that's a thing. The family returned to Kennington in London, where Montefiore attended school. His family's precarious financial situation. Oh, they're poor. Oh, she's the daughter of a bullion a bullion baron. And he was the... Well, we don't know what he was. But his wife was the daughter of a powerful bullion broker in London. And they live in a precarious financial situation. It's so funny how they always do that shit. It doesn't matter who they are. Epstein, his parents his dad was a gardener, and his mother was a part-time school teacher. Maxwell, well, all his family was in the Jewish ghetto and they all were killed. They were so poor that him and his sister had to share a pair of shoes. That's the narrative. This guy, of course, he came from a poor family, a poor daughter of a London bullion broker. And they were so poor that they were on a business trip in the 17 fucking hundreds. Come on, it's so stupid. His family's precarious financial situation prevented Montefiore from completing his schooling, and he went out to work to help support the family. Where he learned how to be the gas guy? Like, you don't just pick this shit up. You need schooling for this kind of shit. After working for a wholesale tea merchant and grocer, he was hired by a counting house in the city of London. A counting house. A counting house or counting room was traditionally an office in which the financial books of the businesses were kept. It was also the place that businesses received appointments and correspondence relating to the demands of payment. Oh, that's weird. What a strange coincidence. He went from working for a wholesale tea merchant and grocer to working at the counting house. In 1803, he entered the London Stock Exchange, but lost all his clients' money in 1806 in a fraud perpetuated by Joseph Elkin Daniels. So he ended up, so he was unsuccessful. And yet I bet he's given another chance. As a result, he probably, we don't know, he probably had to sell or give up his broker's license. Sell his broker's license? Who do you sell your license to? Who is the distributor of broker's licenses in 1800? Yeah, you go down to the broker's licensing place so you can get your license, and don't worry, if you fail, you can just sell it to somebody else. What? Why does this make sense to people? In 1812, Montefiore became a Freemason. Oh. You have to be kidding me. Even you dumb piece of shit friars have to be like, fuck, I see why you don't want me doing this. Right? This is why they always tell me I need to stop. You need to stop doing this. You need to stop. Here, let me try to distract you with this, that, and the other. Because they don't want me digging deeper. You know, this isn't my narrative. This is the narrative that we're supposed to know. This is the narrative that Israel has balanced and Zionist in nature. Especially when it has to do with some Jew guy. You know it's going to be, it's going to be, monitored. It's going to be carefully put out there. Much more so than if it was just some dumb goyim who, more than likely wouldn't even get a page. But somehow this guy, he's just that guy. It's going to be amazing how he's going to bounce right back. This is the Epstein story, right? Losing a bunch of clients' money and then giving another chance in something else. Losing this and then getting in trouble for this and then still giving another opportunity. Getting in trouble for, being inappropriate with students at the job he was at the school he was working at. So one of the parents of one of the students at the school that he was in trouble at thought, hey, let's give him a job as a trader at Bear Stearns instead. Yeah, we know that you have a proclivity for children. Well, let's bring you into Bear Stearns. 4 years later, you'll be limited partner. Don't worry. It'll just work out for you. You're the son of a gardener. (1812), he's a Freemason. Joining the Moira Lodge, number 92, of the Premier Grand Lodge of England in London. From 1809 to 1814, Montefiore served in the Surrey local militia. Montefiore served in the rising to rank of captain in the 3rd Surrey local militia's 7th company. Of course he did. This is literally Maxwell's story. It's the same fucking story. They always rise to the heights of whatever military service they're in because they're just so much better than us. I mean, I know when I think of friars, I think those are probably the most badass, toughest people I've ever seen. There was nothing unusual about Montefiore's militia career, and though not seeing active military service, he did learn how to play the bugle. So he rose to the rank of captain without having done any sort of service. That's common, right? People in the military are always promoted without experience. It's not experience that gets you promoted. It's whether or not you can play the fucking bugle or not, I guess. Montefiore was greatly disappointed when his company voted to disband on February 22nd, 1814. Yeah, again, you don't think this is all just some fiction bullshit? A part of his official historical narrative is that he was greatly disappointed when his company voted to disband on February 22nd, 1814. That's a part of the forever history of this guy, that he was greatly disappointed. In 1815, he again bought a broker's license. I wonder how much broker's licenses cost back then. And briefly operated a joint venture with his brother Abraham. Gotta love the Abrahams. In 1816. He largely closed down his trading activities in 1820. Oh, well. He must have had another opportunity coming. Oh my God. Are you fucking kidding me? In 1812, Moses Montefiore married Judith Cohen, 1784 to 1862, daughter of Levi Berent Cohen. Her sister, Harriet or Hannah, 1783 to 1850, married Nathan Mayer Rothschild. Oh my God. I couldn't weave this together if I wanted to. I wouldn't write it out like this because to me it would seem too obvious. I, how is this not the most obvious shit to you? Oh, it just happens to work out. He's brother-in-law to the fucking Rothschild family? Are you kidding me? Directly, Nathaniel Mayer is one of the sons, the 5 sons or whatever. You gotta be fucking kidding me. For whom Montefior's firm acted as stockbrokers. So this guy who lost all of his investors' money and he had to sell his broker's license, bought back his broker's license, but then shut down all of his trading activities so his firm could be the stockbrokers for the fucking Rothschilds. This is, I just don't know what else I need to show you guys. This is fucking insane. And again, it explains why there's so many fake profiles that want me to stop talking about this shit. Why would anyone not be like, dude, keep reading. This is fucking insane. You're telling me that there are people that are like, yeah, stop talking about this. Who the fuck is going to fall into that category? Nathan Rothschild headed the family's banking business in Britain, which was probably a pretty large, part of the family's business. And the 2 brothers-in-law became business partners. In business, Montefior was an innovator, investing in supply of piped gas for street lighting to European cities via the Imperial Continental Gas Association. Now it all makes sense. So much of what we were reading prior to was just like, what the fuck are you talking? How did this? What? But now it's all the same fucking narrative. The whole 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, it's more like 2 degrees of Judaism. And we're talking about what is currently 0.183% of the world's population. Back then, remember, they were so persecuted and whatnot. There must have been a much smaller number. They were so persecuted. This is also why there was World War I. Why this is exactly what it just all leads in together. In 1824, he was among the founding consortium of the Alliance Assurance Company, which later merged with Sun Insurance to form Sun Alliance, which is one of the largest insurance companies of all time. Sun Alliance Group was a large insurance business with its main offices in the city of London and later Horsham. In 1996, the Sun Alliance merged with the Royal Insurance to form the Royal and Sun Alliance Insurance Group. The company was created in 1959 by the merger of Sun Insurance, founded in 1710, and Alliance Insurance, founded in 1824. There we go. We're just going to jump to, this is the history. In the mid-1960s, so we're just jumping over a whole bunch of shit there. Sun Alliance established its administrative center in a large, I don't give a fuck about their building. It's amazing how I can't find that, and that's it. That's the history that's given on Sun Alliance is from 1960s on about the buildings that they were in, acquiring London's insurance company in 1965 and Phoenix Assurance. In 1984, the company thus added the Suffolk Group. In 1989, consolidated most UK-based operations into Horsham offices in 1990, yet it kept its London head office. And that's it. If I want any more, I have to read the references. Gosh, that's insane. If they were entering me, you'll never know because you're I mean, you're telling me you want to talk about other shit right now. Though somewhat lax in religious observance in his early life, after his visit to the Holy Land in 1827, Montefiore became a strictly observant Jew. He traveled with a personal shohet, ritual slaughterer. Oh my God! He traveled with his own personal ritual slaughterer.
She texted me right after she left the message.
In Judaism, Shetita or Shichita
And she goes, I hope you guys
is ritual slaughtering of certain mammals and birds for food according to kashrut. One who practices this, a kosher butcher, is called a soshet.
so she's all right.
Kosher slaughter is the most fucking brutal. Like they like to portray, like you know how they like to say they're the most moral army.
Yeah, no, we
Well, it's about as legitimate as kosher slaughter is the most humane way to do it.
school for the boys. And, you know, all right, I love you. All right, bye.
Opposition to the Jewish methods of slaughter have a long history, starting at least as far back as the mid-Victorian era. So as far back as then, people were like, hey, you know, maybe hanging the thing up by its hooves and then slitting its neck so it slowly bleeds out is not the most humane way to do it.
Not at all.
But of course, this is only going to show it. That's the historical mention of it. And then it jumps to in 2003. Wow, there is so much information about the controversies associated with it. Biblical sources, species. The animal must be of a permitted species. For mammals, this is restricted to ruminants, which have split hooves. For birds, although biblically any species of bird not specifically excluded in Deuteronomy 14:12, 18 would be permitted. Doubts as to the identity and scope of the species on the biblical list led to the rabbinic law permitting only birds with a tradition of being permissible. The fuck does that mean?
They asked him permission.
Fish do not require kosher slaughter to be considered kosher, but are subject to other laws found in Leviticus 11:9-12, which determine whether or not they are kosher, having both fins and scales. The shishita procedure must be performed by a shochet, or shochet, is described in the Yorendo section of the only as severing the windpipe and food pipe, trachea and esophagus. Nothing is mentioned about veins or arteries. However, in practice, as a very long, sharp knife is used, in cattle, the soft tissues in the neck are sliced through without the knife touching the spinal cord, in the course of which four major blood vessels, two of which transport oxygenated blood to the brain, the carotid arteries, the other two transporting blood back to the heart, the jugular veins, are severed. The vagus nerve is also cut in this operation. With fowl, the same procedure is followed, but a smaller knife is used. A special knife of considerable length is used. No undue pressure may be applied to the knife, which must be very sharp. The procedure may be performed with the animal either lying on its back or standing. In the case of fowl, with the exception of large fowl like turkey, the bird is held in the non-dominant hand in such a way that the head is pulled back and the neck is exposed, while the cut may be made with the dominant hand. Can you imagine that shit mattering?
No.
Like this is just such weird ritual bullshit to the fucking asshole Yahweh God. The procedure is done with the intention of causing a rapid drop in blood pressure in the brain and loss of consciousness to render the animal insensitive to pain and to exsanguate in a prompt and precise action. Yeah, in theory, that's great, isn't it? In theory, it's supposed to work this way. Doesn't seem to, though. It has been suggested that eliminating blood flow through the carotid artery does not cut blood flow to the brain of a bovine because the brain is also supplied with blood by vertebrate arteries. But other authorities note the distinction between severing the carotid versus merely blocking it.
Oh my god.
If one did not sever the entirety of both the trachea and the esophagus, then the animal may still be considered kosher as long as one severed the majority of the trachea and esophagus, windpipe and food pipe of the mammal, or the majority of either one of these in the case of birds. The cut must be incised with a back and forth motion without employing any of the 5 major prohibited techniques or various other detailed rules. I mean, this is just insane. Special blades. The animal may not be stunned prior to the procedure, as is common practice in non-kosher modern-day animal slaughter since the early 20th century. Well, if that's from the early 20th century, when I think this shit was basically invented, how could it be forbidden? You know, if this is an old Hebrew bullshit, well, then there should be no mention of whether the animal is stunned or not, because they had no idea. It is forbidden to slaughter an animal and its young on the same day. So you have to cause trauma. Either you kill the mother the first day and the babies are like, where's mommy? Or you kill the babies and the mother's like, where's my kids? Either or, gotta cause trauma. An animal's young is defined as either its own offspring or another animal that follows it around. The animal's blood may not be collected in a bowl, a pit, or a body of water, as these resemble ancient forms of idol worship. If the Sochet accidentally slaughters with a knife dedicated to idol worship, he must remove an amount of meat equivalent to the value of the knife and destroy it. If he slaughtered with such a knife on purpose, the animal is forbidden as not kosher. Wow.
So then what do you do with it?
You give it to the fucking goyim to eat. Just like with kaparat, when they impart their sins onto the chicken before they kill it, and then they donate it to charity. You don't think they get a kick out of thinking that they just imparted all their sins into this foul meat now? It's disgusting. And they give it to us to eat? You don't think they enjoy that?
Anybody would be sick enough to, but...
He traveled with a personal sochet to ensure that he would have a ready supply of kosher meat. Although Montefiore spent only a few days in Jerusalem, the 1827 visit changed his life. Why? How? What would change about going to a place? He resolved to increase his religious observance and to attend synagogue on Shabbat, as well as Mondays and Thursdays when the Torah is read. The visit had been a spiritual transforming event for him. In 1831, Montefiore purchased a country estate with 24 acres on the east cliff of the fashionable seaside town of Ramsgate. What a humble man. The property had previously been the county house of Queen Caroline when she was still Princess of Wales. Oh, must have been just a shitty little place then, huh?
Oh, I got the toilet. I do that.
It was next owned by the Marquis Wesley, a brother of the Duke of Wellington. Soon afterward, Montefiore purchased the adjoining land and commissioned his cousin, architect David Mokata, to design a private synagogue known as Montefiore Synagogue. It opened with grand public ceremony in 1833. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he had that built. Why the fuck not? 1830s, right? Yeah. Of course he did. Built his own synagogue. Montefiore is mentioned in Charles Dickens's diaries, in the personal papers of George Eliot, and in James Joyce's novel Ulysses. It is known that he had contacts with the Protestant nonconformists and social reformers in Victorian England. He was active in public initiatives aimed at elevating?
Elevating? Alleviating.
I'm stupid. At alleviating the persecution of minorities in the Middle East and elsewhere, and he worked closely with organizations that campaigned for the abolition of slavery. I'm sure he did. For everybody, right? He wasn't like specifically trying to help certain groups. A government loan raised by the Rothschilds and Montefiore in 1835 enabled the British government to compensate plantation owners under the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833 and abolish slavery in the empire. Gee, that's weird. The Rothschilds and this dude enabled the British government to do through a loan. The British government needed a loan to be able to pay the plantation owners off.
It was a long, hard winter.
Am I fucking insane here? In 1836, Montefiore became a governor of Christ's Hospital, the Blue Coat School, after assisting in the case of a distressed man who had appealed to him to help his soon-to-be widowed wife and son. Montefiore was elected Sheriff of the City of London in 1837. He was knighted in November of 1837. That sounds like a really normal history, doesn't it? His philanthropy in Ottoman Palestine. He and his wife traveled to Palestine, which didn't exist, after the region was racked by an earthquake in 1836. The towns of Safed and Tiberias were particularly damaged, with the few survivors suffering disorder, terror, and disease. Moses and Judith launched an ambitious program of relief in 1837. $1837. You know, all those communications and shit that... What was it, baby? The pigeons. Pigeons just flying all over the place.
You know, or ravens.
Or ravens, right. In 1854, his American friend, Judah Thoreau, also a Sephardic Jew, died after having bequeathed money to fund Jewish residential settlement in Palestine. Oh, doesn't really sound like he's helping out the Palestinians then, does it?
No.
And wait. Settlement in Palestine, Jewish settlement in Palestine, that's a modern thing, right? This isn't 1850s. They must mean 1950 something, right? They just fucked it up.
No.
Montefiore was appointed executor of his will and used his funds for a variety of projects to encourage the Jews to engage in productive labor. I mean, again, this is Epstein Maxwell kind of shit where they're just given the power. I mean, his American friend Judah Thoreau died. He must have been rich. Let's see. Was an American businessman and philanthropist. That's what he was. That's it. Thoreau's father, Isaac Thoreau of Holland, was chosen as the Hazan at the Thoreau Synagogue in 1762. They have their own synagogue, which of course is still standing to this day. Why wouldn't it be, indeed?
Good construction.
1762. A Portuguese Sephardic correct congregation in Newport, Rhode Island. They were Portuguese Sephardic Jews in Newport, Rhode Island. How did they know? Like, how many of them could it have possibly been?
15.
And they were like, hey, you know where's a good place to go if you're a Portuguese Sephardic Jew? Newport, Rhode Island.
Duh.
Hope you like the cold. The family moved to New York in 1780 after the British occupied Newport during the American Revolutionary War. They moved to Kingston, Jamaica in 1782.
Yeah, man.
In 1782,
Very nice.
moving from Newport, Rhode Island to Kingston, Jamaica
You've been to Jamaica? It's gorgeous.
was like easy to do, right?
Yeah. I got on a plane and went to Jamaica twice. Well, no. Sorry. Ship once. Plane second time.
I mean, I would imagine Kingston, Jamaica was a happening place in 1782.
I mean, now it's very dangerous, but
Isaac died in 1783, and his wife Raina moved the family to Boston.
from Jamaica. Dummy.
So they moved to Jamaica in 1782,
Just to move back.
and then a year later, dude died, so they moved back to Boston to live with their brother Moses Michael Hayes. She died in 1787, and Judah and his siblings were raised by his uncle, a merchant who helped found Boston's first bank.
You act like this stuff is impossible.
Come on, you guys. Thoreau fell in love with his cousin,
Gross.
but was forbidden marriage by his father, who sent him on a trading voyage to the Mediterranean in hopes of ending his romance. So now he's in Boston. It's the 1700s, 1780s,
They send them to.
and now they're just gonna send him to the Mediterranean on his wooden boats and shit, right?
Ships. He got ships.
In 1801, wait, oh, forbidden by marriage by her father. In 1801, Judah went to New Orleans.
Why is that funny?
What the fuck is
Mardi
going
Gras.
on here?
He had to go to Mardi Gras.
How was all this travel possible back then? Well, now it's 1801, so I guess by the time we got to 1801. He sold soaps, candles, codfish, and other exports of New England. Eventually becoming a prominent merchant and ship owner, particularly after the Louisiana Purchase propelled the growth of the region and its commerce. Despite his poor health, Thoreau enlisted in Andrew Jackson's army in the War of 1812. Let me guess. He became a captain. He was physically incapable of fighting, so he volunteered to carry ammunition to the batteries in the Battle of New Orleans. He was a carrier. Despite his poor health, he was carrying munitions from one place to another.
In a wagon.
You guys are fucking, are you serious?
I don't know why you just don't believe this shit.
In which he was struck in the thigh by a 12-pound shot that tore a large mass that tore off a large mass of his flesh.
Man, he already couldn't fight. How rude. Poor guy. Sounds like he was tortured.
He was given up for dead, but saved by Resin Davis Shepard, a Virginia merchant. Somebody was writing it all down. Shepard helped, his last name was Shepard, of course. Resin. His first name was Resin. Resin Davis Shepard. You know, Resin Davis. Shepard helped nurse him back to health. Why?
Go to money.
And their close friendship continued throughout their lives. He found this guy that was being left for dead and was like, you look like a good Jewish man. Let me come nurse you back to health.
That sounds sweet.
After a large portion of his flesh was torn off. I mean, it's a good thing it didn't hit that artery in his leg that kills you in like 6 seconds or whatever. Whatever it is. Femoral. Good thing he didn't hit that. He recovered for a year after the war. Just hung out at this dude's house for a year. Then resumed building his business interests in shipping, trade, and real estate. He made a point to never mortgaging properties to acquire new ones and lived a simple life in a small apartment, of course. I have saved a fortune by strict economy, he said, while others had spent one by their liberal expenditures.
Spent a fortune.
Right. You want to see what it looks like?
No.
Are you serious right now? Oh man, it's all just so obvious.
None for you, Mr. Mustache.
All right. Montefiore was appointed Exeter. In 1855, he purchased an orchard on the outskirts of Haifa and offered agricultural training to Jews. Because he had it. In 1860, he built the first Jewish residential settlement and almshouse outside the old walled city of Jerusalem, which today is known as Mishkanat. So the illegal Jewish settlements. He's the guy. Montefiore offered financial
I didn't hear the word illegal in there.
Right. Montefiore offered financial inducement to encourage poor families to move there. He's just paying Jews to move someplace. Montefiore intended Mishkanat Shlebim to be a new type of self-sufficient sanitary settlement where Sephardi and Ashkenazi Jews lived together. Later on, Montefiore established adjacent neighborhoods south of Haifa Road and Oshel Moshe neighborhood for Sephardic Jews, and the Mazkret Moshe neighborhood for Ashkenazi Jews, who had distinctly different traditions and languages. What a great guy! What a great guy! Montefiore donated.
The people that were living there originally.
Hey, shut up. There was nobody living there. What's wrong with you? She's so stupid. What about the people living there? What about their rights? What about their children? Stupid.
He's
Jesus
telling me hired a
Christ.
construction crew to build it.
No,
It was already
he
there.
did. He did. He built it. Montefiore donated large sums of money to promote industry, education, and health amongst the Jewish community in Palestine. The project, bearing the hallmarks of 19th century artisanal revival, aimed to promote productive enterprise in the Yishuv. The builders were brought over from England. Of course, he did build it. See? He just built it because the land was just empty anyway. So what's wrong with you? Oh, look who's not at school. These activities were, you see that? Yeah. You see that these activities were part of a broader program to enable the old yeshuv to become self-supporting in anticipation of the establishment of a Jewish homeland. Gee, that's weird. I didn't think. Wait, a Jewish homeland? What? That's weird. Again, I think they must be getting the dates wrong, because this has to be the 1950s. Montefiore built the Montefiore Windmill in an area that later developed as the Yemen Yemosha neighborhood to provide cheap flour to poor Jews. He also established a printing press and a textile factory. I mean, am I right? And helped to finance several Bilu agricultural communities or colonies. Remember, this is the guy who was the brother-in-law and partner with the Rothschilds that gave England its entire gaslighting system. This all makes so much sense, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like some strange conspiracy at all. At all. It sounds like I just anti-Semitism. That's all it is. That's all I'm doing. The old Jews, or the Jews of Old Yeshuv, referred to their patron as Hassar Montefiore, the Prince, or simply Prince Montefiore, a title perpetuated in Hebrew literature and song. Montefiore commissioned several censuses of the Yeshuv, or Jewish community, in Palestine. These were conducted in 1839, 49, 55, 1866, and 1875. He was commissioning the census reports. And provided much data about the people. The censuses attempted to list every Jew individually.
So he stole everybody's information from way back then?
Together with some biographical and social information, such as their family structure, place of origin, and degree of poverty.
Identity theft, baby.
What? What? Montefiore played an important role in the Ramsgate affairs. Don't know what that is. It's not blue, so guess it must not be important. And one of the local ridings still bears his name. In 1845, he served as High Sheriff of Kent. No longer the Sheriff of London. Remember, he was the Sheriff of London as well.
He's a barber, too.
Had a very successful barber shop.
Sorry.
In 1870, he lived to be 101 years old, too, by the way.
But they didn't live that long. They only lived to be in their 30s.
Shut up. Why do you keep talking? 1 Timothy 2:12. You are not permitted to teach or have authority over man. You are to keep silent.
Shut up.
That's the Bible. In 18... Oh, Jesus. Sorry.
I'm going to hell.
In 1873, the year of his 89th birthday, a local newspaper mistakenly ran his obituary. Oh,
Oops.
that happens all the time.
I run people's obituaries all the time.
You read about it all the time, about the mistaken obituary run.
I mean, yeah.
Quote, "Thank God to have been able to hear of the rumor," he wrote to the editor, "and to read an account of the same with my own eyes without using spectacles." So he had lost his fucking mind? This letter, this response, is in the annals of history. Forever, people will know that he said to the editor, "Thank God I've been able to hear of this rumor and to read an account of the same with my own eyes without using spectacles." Sure. The town celebrated his 99th and his 100th birthdays in great style, and every local charity and church benefited from his philanthropy. At East Cliff Lodge, Freemason by the way, he established a Sephardic yeshiva, Judith Lady Montefiore College, after the death of his wife in 1862. In the grounds, he built the elegant Regency architecture Montefiore Synagogue and mausoleum modeled on Rachel's tomb outside Bethlehem. Rachel's tomb. Let's see what Rachel's tomb.
Who's Rachel?
That's his. That's his young wife, Rachel. That's how they referred to her. His young wife. There's
Gross.
literally
I don't wanna
no
hear about it.
information about her at all, other than she was his young wife.
Good.
And I guess that's her tomb. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And it's surrounded by rubble.
A moat and crocodiles.
What the fuck is this rubble here? Where was this built upon that it was? Wow, there is a lot of information about Rachel's tomb. Oh, Beatty is mentioned.
Beanie, like what they wear on their head.
Beady, like their eyes. Holy shit, the history on this fucking place is longer than like most of the characters. Oh, I don't know. Rachel's tomb is not his wife's tomb, I guess.
No, it's his mistress.
So his wife just happened to have been named, his young wife was named Rachel. We still haven't heard anything about her. He also paid for the refurbishment and upkeep of this historic tomb. Judith laid to rest there in 1862. So that's the second wife?
I don't know. How many did this motherfucker have?
I think he had two. Montefiore died in 1885 at the age 100 years and 9 months. He had no known children. His principal heir name, arms, and property was his nephew, Sir Joseph Sebag Montefiore, 1822 to 1909, born Joseph Sebag, a British banker, stockbroker, and politician. He's a banker, stockbroker, and politician, of course. Sir Joseph's descendant, British historian Simon Sebag Montefiore, born in 1965, revealed that his family believes Sir Moses to have fathered a child later in life with a 16-year-old domestic servant. Seriously, is there any fucking way I could have known that this is the guy that I would have stumbled across while looking up what the history of gaslighting?
Oh. Pedophiles everywhere.
Philanthropist. He was old.
I mean, maybe we're supposed to be pedophiles. We're just the weird ones.
That's what it is. Philanthropist Leonard Montefiore was a great nephew of Sir Moses Montefiore. Sir Moses Montefiore was buried in the mausoleum which he had built near the Montefiore Synagogue at Ramsgate. Fucking A, convenient. The estate was sold to the borough of Ramsgate around 1952. I mean, it's only like a 360, well, around, it could have been, It's a long time, but it's around. We don't know exactly when. And the lodge was demolished in 1954. It was bought in 1952 and then demolished 2 years later. All that remains today is a new building housing a firm of architects. It incorporates parts of the original structure called the check or the coach house. So you mean it is the same building? They're just lying. There are also some outbuildings that survive, including the gatehouse. The Italianate greenhouse has been restored to its former glory in the early 21st century. The greenhouse and the rest of the estate are now protected as King George VI Memorial Park. A plaque on the gate house honors Sir Moses. Oh, and here's his coat of arms. Because, he just happens to have one of these coat of arms with literally all the same Masonic symbolism as the rest. The knight, especially the lion sitting on top of the head of the knight, that's a big one. The other lion with the painted toenails, check out that lion's fucking toenails, man.
They're red.
And then on the other side, you have a deer sticking out. Ah, ah. And then a tree. I mean, the thing is, most people would look at this and just be like, "Oh, well, it's just pretty like designs." No, these are all very, very relevant, important symbols, and I guess we're just supposed to overlook it all. Think and thank. That's
Stink and stank.
think and thank is on the bottom. Think about it and be thankful. And this is just fucking weird, man. On a wreath of the colors, two mounts as in the arms, their form issuant a demi-lion or supporting a flagstaff proper thereon hoisted a fork pennant flying towards the sinister azure inscribed Jerusalem in Hebrew characters gold. What did I just say?
I don't know. I stopped listening because it stopped making sense.
On a wreath of the colors, OURS, two mounts as in the arms, therefrom issuant a demi-lion or supporting a flagstaff proper, thereon hoisted a forked pennant flying toward the sinister azure, ascribed Jerusalem in Hebrew characters gold.
I mean, it's describing what it is.
No, I get it,
But
but why would you do it
backwards?
so ridiculously unless you never actually planned on people reading this? And if they did, they weren't reading it skeptically.
Because clearly the person was either dyslexic or completely dumb.
It is shoot is what's this? Escutcheon? Escutcheon? What's that? Black word?
Escutcheon?
Escutcheon. Escutcheon, argent, a cedar tree between two mounts of flowers proper, on a chief azure, a dagger erect proper, promel and hilt, or between two mullets of 6 points gold.
Okay, good.
Again, why is this written like this? This is just fucking stupid. Supporters. According to a royal warrant, December 10th, 1886, to descend with Barency, Dexter, a lion guardian, or Sinister, a stag proper attired, or each supporting a flagstaff proper, therefrom flowing a banner to the Dexter Azure, inscribed Jerusalem in Hebrew characters gold. Did it make more sense this time?
No.
Motto, think and thank, other elements, mantling of vert and argent. I mean, a lot of these words are blue, so you would have to then look them up. But still wouldn't make any more sense. It just seems so weird. Like it's just like the Bible. Like if it's supposed to have meaning, why do you hide it? Why do you make it in such an unreadable, dumb
To
form?
make you stop reading it.
So you stop reading it and you
It
have to
feels
go to
stupid.
somebody, you feel stupid, and you have to go to somebody else to tell you what to think.
And to
Go to a
remind you
virgin.
that you are stupid and somebody's better than you.
Right. The virgins are better than you because they'll tell you all the pretty things you want to hear. I mean, when I was reading you, because I'm going to have to do more of this tomorrow, when I was reading about the gas works, literally, there was no talk. There was this great explosion. At one point, they failed, they screwed up, and a big explosion happened, killed a bunch. You don't hear any of those stories. They just got it right. Go get your free download, www.the-bilderberg-group.com. It's free. All we ask is that you share it with somebody. Click download. It'll ask you how much you want to pay. Click zero, and it's free, or donate. We appreciate those that have. Go watch Hollywoodism, which if Hollywoodism doesn't make more and more sense, the more that I read, I don't know what does. Hollywoodism is why this shit exists, because they created the narrative that we live by today. Essentially, you could say the American dream is the Jewish dream. It's manufactured reality, just like it's manufactured history. And that's what Hollywoodism will explain to you. Go read the Israel Hayom article that's associated, even though it'll keep kicking you out and shit. They make it super difficult to read for some reason. It's very important that you do read it. Read it all the way through and just see how incredibly commonplace ritualistic sexual abuse is in their community. Like this guy who impregnated a 16-year-old in his old age. Like it's everywhere. And then go check out the 3 links to the Facebook page. Donald Trump hates America. No, it's not. Donald Trump hates America. COVID sauce and sleight of hand job. Those are the Facebook music videos. Go like them. Go share them. Go sub to that page. Like, share, and sub on this page. Have a great day. And most importantly, as always, you pedophiles, fucking kill yourself.